We are live from Johannesburg in South Africa. You remember you can catch us live at SABC Plus app, DSTV Audio Bouquet, channel 802, as well as OpenView, channel 629. I am Nhlanhla Mahlangu, standing in for Tshepiso Makwetla. The Zimbabwe African People's Union ZAPU Secretary General Mthulisi Hanana has issued a rallying call to all Zimbabweans at home and abroad, urging them to mobilize against what he described as the governing ZANU-PF's push to extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's tenure until 2030. Hanana emphasized that Mnangagwa, who assumed office in 2017, is constitutionally restricted to 2 terms. Meanwhile, a group of youths named the Movement for Economic Freedom, led by Agripa Guti, says they are in support of the president's extension of the presidency. We now have both of them joining us to talk about their differing views. Maybe let's welcome both of them. Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to the show.
Good evening to you and good evening to your listeners and viewers this evening. Thank you so much for hosting me here.
Starting with you, Mr. Hanana, you've urged Zimbabweans in the diaspora to mobilize. What exactly does mobilization look like in practical terms? Are we talking about lobbying, protest, financial support, or coordinated political campaigns?
Maybe we need to start here. We are not calling on Zimbabweans in the diaspora to mobilize only. We are calling on every Zimbabwean to join a process of resisting the issue of the 2030 agenda, and resistance comes in many different forms, and people from different parts of the world can participate differently. You know the issue of free speech in Zimbabwe, the serious repression. So maximum publicity of what we'll be doing on the ground will get most of the attention through our colleagues that are outside the country, causing the fact that also media is highly controlled. So when we are talking about mobilization, there is a two-pronged approach. We are going to be mobilizing for resistance, and that resistance is going to be rolled out at different levels, one at national, and also we are also going to be pulling it down to a constituency level, where we are calling on different Zimbabweans within constituencies in Zimbabwe to interact and engage with their members of parliament at constituency level. This is because at this point, indications are that the issue of Agenda 2030 will be tabled in parliament, and members of parliament will be expected to vote around the issue. So we are mobilizing people to go to their members of parliament and express their displeasure, and also hold them accountable, because when we voted in 2023, we were voting against a 5-year term. And if the parliament or the president or ZANU-PF wants to extend that term, they must come to the people. They must not circumvent the process of engaging people. Thank you.
Maybe let's just talk about the reaction so far since you made this call. How have people reacted to this call?
From our end, because we know we are speaking what is in the hearts of many different Zimbabweans, including those in ZANU-PF that are failing to express themselves, because ZANU-PF is a show of democracy, but there is no democratic processes internally. The parties run through an iron fist. So after we made our call to mobilize for protests, we have been receiving a lot of support from and inquiries from a lot of Zimbabweans asking how they can participate, asking us to roll out the program of action so that they can locate themselves within that program and see how they can participate and assist. So this also is a testament to the fact that we are making the right call. Zimbabweans are solidly behind us, and they are ready to express their dissatisfaction around the issue of Agenda 2030.
Given ZAPU's limited representation in parliament, how then do you plan to build enough political pressure to resist constitutional changes that might favor President Mnangagwa?
One most important thing is that there's nothing in the last few years that seems to be uniting Zimbabweans around a cause, like the need to resist the Agenda 2030. So what you realize is that ZAPU is not really inventing the wheel here. We are just providing leadership. We're just providing a platform for every Zimbabwean to converge, for every political player and political actor to converge after the process where ZANU-PF decimated opposition. So we are just creating Zimbabwe to participate in the process of resisting 2030. We're creating a platform for the people of Zimbabwe to come on board and resist this Agenda 2030 machination. Thank you.
And Mr. Hanana, are you by any chance in talks with other opposition movements or even civil society groups to form a united front on this issue? And if so, are you in a position to tell us which organizations are involved?
At the moment, we are still engaging with different political actors and stakeholders in the country. Maybe for starters, ZAPU has always been in the forefront of calling for unity or of calling for coalitions. At the moment, we also have a Kukuraundi Justice Alliance that seeks to deal with the issue of the Zimbabwe genocide, or what others would want to say a material genocide, but it was a national genocide. So we have a group of about 15 political parties that are involved in that. We are also reaching out to them to extend our approach, to extend our trust beyond the issue of Kukuraundi. And also, if you realize there was a presser that was meant to happen in Harare that was blocked, and there was another one in Bulawayo. We were participants in both pressers. The president of our party, Comrade Spanglizo Nkoma, was one of the people that were expected to speak in Bulawayo. Our vice president, Honorable Katzenga, was also expected to speak in Harare. So we are working with everybody. So what we're doing now, we are rolling out a program. We are still lobbying within that block of organizations that will organize the presser, but also we're reaching out to churches, to civil society, so that we come up with a united front when we deal with the issue of 2030. But also, one of the key things that must be understood is that political institutions, particularly in Zimbabwe, have many times disappointed the people of Zimbabwe, failed to deliver based on different issues. So our approach, in as much as we are engaging with stakeholder organizations, we seek mainly to engage the citizenry. We seek mainly to engage masses. If other political leaders come on board, it's a plus. But our appeal is mainly to every Zimbabwean, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of gender, tribe, or religious affiliation. So this is our primary focus. But that doesn't mean we are not engaging. We're engaging. Should the leaders that were engaging come on board, it's a plus. But the other challenge that you must realize in Zimbabwe is that the bar of leadership has been lowered so low that we have a lot of organizations that are one-man band, that are briefcase organizations. So we are not going to be spending most of our time engaging organizations that are not easily verifiable, whose leadership is unknown. We rather spend that time mobilizing Zimbabwe to come on board and resist Agenda 2030.
ZANU-PF insists that it is operating within the law and that any constitutional changes would follow due processes. How do you then respond to claims that your stance is alarmist or politically motivated?
I think one of the things that you realize is that ZANU-PF has never gone out publicly to say they are operating outside the law. Everything that ZANU-PF has done, they have always pretended to be doing it within the confines of the law. That is why you will see that there's been an active program by ZANU-PF to make sure that there is a conflation between the party ZANU-PF, government, the state, and the capture of judiciary and all other institutions. This is because ZANU-PF wants to capture every institution so that the people of Zimbabwe find themselves with no way where they can engage and get proper redress and recourse for some of these actions. I'll give simple examples. We have people like Job Sikala. They were detained and denied bail for almost 2 years in politically motivated cases. And also you have people like Jacob Ngarifume, they've also been arrested. You have Hopol Chingono. So everything that the ZANU-PF does, they will take it to the court, but they know that they have captured the court. We have the Chief Justice Malaba, who should have been retired by now, but and still in the apex of the justice system of the country. So this shows that ZANU-PF has to make sure that they use the law to fight in the courts, primarily to fight political battles and to weaponize the law and to score points against opposition or anyone who seeks to oppose them. So ZANU-PF can argue that they are doing everything within the confines of the law. But when you then scrutinize how the law is being abused in the country, you'll discover that the Constitution of Zimbabwe has been abused by ZANU-PF in many cases. So we cannot take their word for it. They have a history of bastardizing the Constitution. That's why instead of aligning the laws of the land to the 2013 Constitution, they have done more of amending that Constitution before aligning it. So we cannot take their word for it.
Let me bring in Agripa Guti from the Movement for Economic Freedom, which has come out in support of President Emmerson Mnangagwa's continued leadership beyond 2028. Mr. Agripa, can you explain why your movement believes extending his term to 2030 is necessary for Zimbabwe's progress? Mr. Agripa, are you there? We seem to be having a problem with this line. We've got on the line Agripa Guti from the Movement for Economic Freedom, as well as the Secretary General of the Zimbabwe African People's Union, Mr. Mthulisi Hanana. Mr. Agripa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you.
Great. Thank you so much for taking your time and joining us. Now, the Movement for Economic Freedom has come out in support of President Emmerson Mnangagwa's continued leadership beyond 2028. Can you just explain to us why your movement believes extending his term to 2030 is necessary for Zimbabwe's progress?
Movement for Economic Freedom, a group of young patriotic leaders in Zimbabwe, do believe that what has been said by our President, His Excellency, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, since he elected in office in 2015, the program, his vision, what he has done so far, the development that we are seeing, we are fully supportive of the masses who are rallying behind his continued support. Actually, it is not the President who is in the decision of continuing with the presidential, but the masses, the people who are happy with the progress, are the ones who are saying, no, Mr. President, we are actually reminding you the way you said you get into office. You mentioned that the voice of the people is the voice of God. So today our voice, the masses, the youth of Zimbabwe, we have seen the development in Zimbabwe, and told the President that we really support your vision. We want to continue with your vision. Please finish what you supported.
Agripa, critics call this an assault on constitutional democracy. How then do you respond to those who say your support for President Mnangagwa's extended rule undermines the 2-term limits enshrined in the Constitution?
Indeed, we agree on that one. That our Constitution stipulates that President has got a 2-year term limit. But the Constitution, remember, it is us, the majority, the people, the masses, who contributed to the Constitution in 2013, we, the very people, can amend it at any time at the people's will, as long as we feel that is developed, the country is taking us somewhere better.
Mr. Agrippa's line is not so great there. Let me go back to the Secretary General of the Zimbabwe African People's Union, Mthulisi Hanana. Now, President Mnangagwa argues that stability and continuity are essential for economic recovery. How then do you balance that argument against the risk of entrenching power?
You know, I don't see how calling for elections in the country or abiding by the constitution can be viewed, or constitutionalism can be viewed as a source of instability. The only reason why ZANU-PF wants to continue to parrot the issue of stability is because they know that in an election that is free and fair, they do not stand a chance against the masses. And what generally causes instability when we're going towards elections, it is a violence that is meted by ZANU-PF against the citizenry. And now for them to turn around and fake crocodile tears at that violence and say, no, they want to avoid violence and perpetuate their stay in power, even against the constitution, I think it is regrettable, it is unfortunate, and it is laughable at the same time. We cannot allow that situation to continue. Actually, what is going to bring uncertainty and instability, it is what ZANU-PF is attempting to do, to go against the constitution that the people of Zimbabwe and their numbers and their majority voted for in 2013. That is what will cause instability. ZANU-PF must just adhere to the constitution. If ZANU-PF feel that they're doing a great job covering the country, I think they should test the sentiment of the people in an election. That is the only way we can see what the people think about the issue of Agenda 2030.
Before I let you go, Mr. Hanana, what specific role do you see the diaspora playing beyond statements of solidarity, especially considering that they are largely excluded from voting in national elections?
You realize that we're chatting a very difficult terrain now and a difficult course. But as a liberation movement, which ZAPU is, we have walked this terrain before. We brought freedom to Zimbabwe. We liberated Zimbabwe from imperialism and colonialism, mainly based out of the country. So the people that are outside the country have a serious role to play. When you are going to protest and sustain that protest, there's a number of things that you are going to need, including international solidarity, including resources, including giving publicity to the issues that are going to be happening in the country. One of the things that we are expecting and that we are ready for and that we are hoping to mitigate is the violence that the state will unleash towards the citizens. And we need the people that are in the diaspora to also make sure that should we get there, they are ready to publicize what is going to be happening so that the international community can also try and assist the people of Zimbabwe. But I also want to say that for far too long, as Zimbabweans, we have been waiting for international and regional blocs to assist Zimbabwe. I mean, when we came from the 2020 elections, we were waiting. We were made to believe that SADC was on the way to help us. I want to say to the people of Zimbabwe that generally help doesn't seem to be on the way. Considering also what we saw in Tanzania, where 800 people are dead, but global regional bodies like African Union congratulated the dictator there, Madam Zulu, and it pronounced the election free and fair. It's a sign that regional bodies don't care about what happens in sovereign states. So as Zimbabweans, if we are going to wait for a savior that is going to come from somewhere, that savior will not come. You and I are the saviors of our country, regardless of where you are based, regardless of where you are located. You have a role to play, even if it means tweeting, sending resources, whatever role you can play, or encouraging people back home, who, by the way, largely depend on our diaspora remittances to survive. It is high time that we also make them realize the sacrifice that we're making for them to be cushioned from the poverty and the economic decay that ZANU-PF subjects them to. And we call on them to come on board and resist what ZANU-PF wants to do and claim their country. It is not right for us as the people of Zimbabwe to what? Thank you.
Maybe as a parting shot there, Mr. Agripa, do you see this proposal as a constitutional amendment or simply a political expression of confidence in President Mnangagwa's leadership?
Yes, we do have much confidence in Parliament since implementing the DP around 1 to 7 billion. Now, in 2020, with resources, 3 billion now developing now 3 billion developing strategy. They are doing that we need to support the president's vision, the massive vision for him to extend change in the change to whatever started. It's not a constitutional value that it is free of the people. The people are spoken.
We're going to have to leave it there. The line is not so great. But gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time and talking to us on Africa World Hour. That was Zimbabwe's African People's Union ZAPU Secretary General Mthulisi Hanana, as well as Agripa Guti, leader of the Movement for Economic Freedom of Zimbabwe.